Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Become a Farmer here in Ghana. Last week we talked about land, what kind of land a farmer needs to start his farm business. I mentioned a lot of things. I mentioned the productivity of the land. I mentioned the infrastructure level of the place. I also talked about resources like water, where you can easily create your own irrigation, among other things. Today, we are going to look at how you would be able to acquire a land even if you do not have money on you. I'm going to tell you some few things that you need to do to acquire a farmland. But let's go and listen to my good friend Clement, who is in Netherlands.
Hello, my name is 𝐁𝐞𝐜𝐨𝐬𝐲𝐷 and the founder of Green Gold Social Enterprise and Farm HQ. One of the questions I get asked a lot about agriculture is how do I get land? Now, let me clear the first misconception is how much land do I need to call myself a farmer? First, you don't need much land. Production, when done properly, even with a very small piece of land, is better than have thousands of acres. That gives you basically not much. So if you have 1 acre, even half a plot, which you can manage properly, and it's much better than to have 10 acres which you cannot manage well. So first and foremost, start it small, get a smaller piece of land. How do you get that? There are quite a lot of ways. First is rent. You can rent a piece of land. If you are in the city, it's much more difficult because land is scarce in the cities. But if you are beginning a farm as a young person, it's either you go outskirts of the city or you think about what space can you get within the city, no matter how small, and get started. Because once you start it, you build experience and you will begin to see what works and what doesn't work for you. Now, farming is not just about agriculture, crops. Farming is also about animals. It's about mechanization. It's about several things. So you have to see what works for you. So obviously, if you have the money, you should just buy it. But if you cannot afford it, think about renting. If you cannot rent, think about sharing. Other farmers who have their lands, you can pledge with them and tell them, okay, I can give you a percentage of my harvest after I have produced. So there are quite a number of ways to do this. The other option is to work with other farm cooperatives who are already existing. So for instance, Farm HQ, we have acquired some lands in different portions of the country, and we can simply work with the chiefs to be able to portion some land for you. But first and foremost, you try it yourself. If you can go to a village, if you're going to a community, just talk to the chiefs and say, okay, if I'm able to produce this much at the end of the year, I give this percentage to you. And just experiment with it. But just to sit down and say I need land without taking any step, honestly, won't help you as a farmer. You will not build any experience, you will not build any skill, and you will still be sitting down with this idea in your head which you have not even experimented. And it's only when you have tried one plot, 1 acre, 2 acres, 3 acres, then you see the outcome and you learn from that experience, then you can scale up to by then you should even have money to be able to buy bigger space of land. So my advice first and foremost is look at what other farmers are doing and see if you can pledge with them. That's your first step. That is if you do not have money at all. If you have a bit of money, you can think about renting. Now if you have a bit more money, then you can think about just buying the land. There are several plots of land within our communities that are lying without someone actually doing much with it. So as long as you can promise them that, look, I'm going to use it for this period and then after that I'm done. But then you are building experience. So if you try 1 acre here this year, they say I can only give you for 1 acre. If you try this season, the next season you cleared it out, move to another community and try another thing. So it is about trying the littlest you can. But these days, even farming is no more about space. It's now we have vertical gardening, where you can grow your crops up by creating shelves and stuff like that. Even in your various small gardens, you can do that. The other aspect of it is aquaponics, where you can integrate plumbing and fish farming and other things into that system. So my advice is, don't just sit down and say there is no land. Go out there, fish for land, work with other farmers, work with other people who have the space, and once they build a trust that you are serious, some of them may even lease out some of their part of lands for you. So this is my basic skills that I can share with you is go out there and start something, no matter how small. Get started.
All right, you are welcome back. The most important thing Clement mentioned is the fact that you don't need to start big. You don't need to start big. You don't need acres of farmland to start your farm. You need to start from somewhere. So you can easily start with a plot of land, and then with time you would increase the size of your farm. But let me tell you one important thing before I mention some of the steps that you need to follow to be able to acquire your own farmland. Before you go into farming, make sure you do not have any debt anywhere. Make sure you've not gone for money anywhere. Make sure you are free from any debt before you go into farming. Check yourself well. This is very, very important, especially upcoming farmers. Now, the fact that you do not have money to buy farmland does not mean you cannot achieve whatever you want to do. In our previous episode, I mentioned commitment as one important features of a great farmer. I mentioned passion as another important thing you need to have, because if you are not committed, if you are not passionate, don't ever attempt to go to farm. You must be willing. You must have a character that can withstand all the challenges that a farmer would face. Now, we know of the situation of drought. Farmers are losing a lot more of their crops to bad weather. These are natural occurrences that a farmer cannot control, but they can manage. So you do not have land. How do you get the land when you don't have money? There are lands far away from where you stay. There are lands very far away from where you stay where you can easily acquire them. So move from where you are and look for places where you can easily acquire land. Like I said, the most important thing is commitment and passion. Your commitment and your passion can take you to wherever you want to start your farm. Go to a community where you want to start the farm. Engage with people who own the land. Have an agreement with them. Maybe you need 2 acres of farmland, and then the agreement would be 50-50. After I harvest my farm produce, we're going to share 50-50, or maybe 60-30, whichever way. Have an agreement with them. Another thing you can also look at is to rent the land on credit. It is happening. I can tell you for a fact that throughout my travel across the country, there are places lands are available. Nobody is cultivating on them. But because most of us don't want to move from our comfort zone and to wherever we want to start a farm, we think that lands are not available. But we want to farm at where we are, which is not possible. Lands are not in the cities. So you don't have money, you want to farm, you want to go into farming, you don't have a land. First point is look for a place far from your comfort zone. There are lands there that are not for sale. Community leaders can offer you a sizable land for you to farm. I can tell you that throughout my travel, I went to a community where they offered me 10 acres of farmland to farm. I was actually joking that I needed farmland to farm. And then the community offered me 10 acres of farmland to farm. Unfortunately, I was not able to go back to that community. So don't expect to have the money to buy a land in a city or places where the competition is very high. Move to where you can easily acquire land and you will be able to start your farm. People have moved from their countries to different countries just to farm. So it is possible for you to also move from your town or your city to a village within your country to farm. That shouldn't be difficult. You should be able to do that. So that is the easiest way you can acquire a land, even if you don't have money. Another thing you can also look at is to volunteer to help a farmer. Yes, to volunteer. You want to go into farming, you don't have money, you don't have income, volunteer to help a farmer. When you do that, what you're going to learn is you're going to acquire experience first, and definitely you will be paid certain amount of money, a money that you might not like, but that money is better than not doing anything, sitting idle without doing anything. So volunteer to help a farmer, get to learn a lot, get the experience, and then you can get some income, small income there to plan for your farm. First, have an agreement with landowners, either to share 50-50 or 60-30, depending on how many acres you want to cultivate. Second, travel far from your comfort zone. There are places you can find or get land free of charge to farm. Look for such places. There are farmlands in this country. You only don't want to move away from your comfort zone. You just want to stay there, and you want to find a farmland there, which is impossible. Even if you find it, it will be very, very expensive, which cannot get you back your investment. So these are the few things that you need to do. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've really taken note of what Clement and myself shared. Please don't forget to comment, don't forget to share, don't forget to suggest, criticize, and don't also forget to go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel, TNR24. Next week we'll come again with another episode. We're going to talk about how you can invest in your farm. You've gotten the land, you've studied everything that you want to study on the land, and now you want to start the farm. Probably you've used all your money to buy the land. What do you do? How do you start your farm? We will tell you how you would be able to do that. Even if you are earning 500 Ghana cedis a month, we will tell you how you will be able to do that. So next week, God willing, we shall be here again, and we hope the information we are going to share would encourage you to venture into farming. Thank you so much. May God bless you.